Welcome to my channel. Wanted to bring a rather silly deck, as you can probably see by all the Yu-Gi-Oh cards on the table. This is not a Yu-Gi-Oh deck, it is a Magic deck. Now when I say silly, and you see a Nekusar on the board, you're probably questioning my sanity. This is a Chaos deck. It is not a Nekusar deck, but Nekusar is the commander. Now, a little backstory behind it. One of my favorite bad cards in the game is one of my most favorite cards is a card called Iron Maiden. It's not a very good card, but it is a card. During each opponent's upkeep, Iron Maiden deals 1 damage to that player for each card more than 4 in their hand, so even before their draw step. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage. It's chip damage. But Iron Maiden is my favorite band. And one of my favorite bad cards. And Iron Maiden's mascot, Eddie, is a zombie. And Nekusar is also a zombie. So to me, it made sense. This originally was a Yidris deck. So I kind of cut it down to just 3 colors and made it more consistent. And I've had a lot of fun with this. Now, not a lot of people like playing against it. It is a rather silly deck. It doesn't really have a definite win con outside of burning people to death. But, I mean, it's still fun to me. Now, I do not cast Nekusar if I can help it. At the time of making this video, I've played over 10 games without touching my commander. So again, it's not a Nekusar deck, though it is Tribal Wheels. It is Chaos. I use the Yu-Gi-Oh cards as tokens just because I have a few extras left over and I don't play the game anymore. I hate this meme, but it just it just fit. So, and it's also kind of cool to see, Exodia tokens as zombies, because, limbs, and of course, the Egyptian gods as tokens because God is dead. I love that joke. Good old nihilism. Put all these pieces of crap away. Can't believe I paid for Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Ugh. And onto the deck itself. First up, the creatures. I only run 7, not including my commander, and I'm considering cutting down even further. First, we have Fate Unraveler. I do like to ping them a little bit here and there. Jace's Archivist is probably the most important creature in the deck because it's a walking windfall. Very useful. Second most important. Kami of the Crescent Moon, just a Howling Mine. Cataract Parasite. It usually doesn't burn people because I usually don't have a red permanent out. Kozilek for shuffling things back in, and it's also a hilarious card to drop if I have Possibility Storm on the board and I pay 1 mana and hit a Kozilek. It's pretty nice. Perplexing Chimera is a really fun one. I would argue that Kozilek, by the way, is the most important because wheels. Allows me to keep wheeling. Perplexing Chimera is a really silly card, and it really helps define the deck. It's a deck that you're not really going to be playing your own deck. You're going to be playing a really weird mixture of everybody else's deck. That's where cards like this come in. This is a pure Chaos deck. And Sad Robot Solemn Simulacrum. This is one of the cards that I'm considering cutting because while it's useful at 4 mana, it's just kind of slow. This is a slower deck, of course, because it's a silly Chaos deck, but it doesn't have to be that slow, as you can see by the fact that I run 9 rocks, which I'll go through. Onto the artifacts. We have Chromatic Lantern. I do not like this card in anything but more casual games because good mana fixing makes this pretty much useless. And good lands, rather. 3 mana for 1 is pretty rough, but here it's fine. The Signets. Felwar Stone, and then red, black, and blue. I'm probably going to find my colors. Font of Mythos, just double Howling Mine. Hey, Howling Mine. Back to the... Can't even put my hand up there. There we go. The Iron Maiden. Another Signet. Good old Knowledge Pool. One of the classic Chaos cards. Rakdos Signet. Of course, a Soul Ring. The 2 Talismans, which also fits the Iron Maiden theme because of their, song. Fairy's Puzzle Box. I could be really rude with this with Nekusar, but I prefer to not have them both out at the same time. Again, this deck is not designed to play as a Nekusar deck, even though it kind of looks like one. Temple Bell, why not be everybody's friend? If I find a decent enough Chaos card that's pretty cheap, I'll probably end up cutting this for it. We'll see. Thought Vessel, considering putting Spellbook in here too. And a personal favorite of mine, Time Sifter. If you don't know how this works, I'll try to explain it really quickly. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, every player exiles a top card of their library. The card that is exiled that has the highest CMC gives that player who exiled it another turn after this one. So after the turn after this takes effect, well, 2 turns after this comes in, basically, the turn order no longer exists, but you have to remember it because once this card is off, it goes right back. But this could give one player 15 turns in a row, or it could make it so that everybody's turns are just really screwed up. This is the point of this deck. It's not to win, it's not to lose. It is to make the game silly, absurd, and unplayable. And to me, that's a lot of fun. Had I known the kind of reaction this deck would have got, I may not have built it. Some of my friends like it a lot. Some of them despise it and auto-scoop when they see certain cards. Dictate. Dissipation Field. I gotta buffer up my defenses a little bit since I'm a pretty big target with this deck. Fevered Vision's just additional draw and a little bit of chip damage. Grip of Chaos is one I haven't really played much. I haven't actually played yet. Haven't pulled it out. Just recently got it. It's 6 mana, but it does randomly reselect targets, so that's pretty useful for keeping my stuff on the board. Hive Mind, probably my favorite blue card of all time. Now, some of you may remember me saying that I hate blue, and I still do. But I like cards like this, especially with some of the silly cards I have in the deck. You will see one of them really soon. Liliana's Caress. And I'll mention the particular card. Megrim. While I'm not trying to burn people, I still do have a potential way to win. No Mercy. Again, more kind of pillow fort type stuff. And a nice foil Planar Chaos. It's a really fun card that I like. It typically just sits on the board and counters things for 1 turn, but it's silly. I like it. Possibility Storm. One of the cards that makes the deck go. If you don't know how this works, I'm sorry. I'm not explaining it right now. I don't have too much time left on my camera. Propaganda. More Don't Attack Me. Raider's Wake. This could potentially come out because it's 4 mana to do a Megrim or a Liliana's Caress, but of course, Rhystic Study. Gotta have some draw power. I'm playing blue after all. Shared Fate, another personal favorite of mine. As long as this is on the board, people cannot deck out, so the game can theoretically go indefinitely. And that's the way that this deck is designed. Because they're never drawing. Underworld Dreams, just a little bit of extra burn, and Waste Not. Those zombies are very useful. On to the instance. Brainstorm. Chaos Warp is the only targeted removal I run in the deck. Commit to Memory is, I guess you could call it targeted removal, but it's mostly just there for the memory part, just another wheel. It's also a pseudo counterspell, but whatever. Cyclonic Rift, okay, that's targeted removal, but I don't use it that way. Evacuation, I do run a lot of Wraths in the deck. This is the only counterspell I run, only true counterspell. It's probably going to come out, but I do like that the opponent can choose to discard their entire hand instead. So if I've got Megrim up, you know. And Vampiric Tutor. Alright, now we're getting to the really silly part. So first we're going to go Blasphemous Act. Next, Cruel Entertainment. Choose 2 players, they take each other's next turns. I really want this to go off with Hive Mind on the board. That is the goal. That is the silly card I was talking about. Nice Damnation. Devastation Tide. Demonic Tutor. Gitaxian Probe, and yes, I do ask a player if I can probe them. You kind of have to if you're playing a Gitaxian Probe. Incendiary Command. Molten Psyche. Ponder. I'm not running all the wheels, but I am running a lot, as you can see. Preordain. Reforge the Soul. Good old Time Reversal. Toxic Deluge. Warp World. This is a really hysterical card to resolve with Hive Mind, because you can't just skip it, because it changes every iteration. Wheel of Fortune. Whispering Madness, and Windfall. Run one Planeswalker, Party Jace. I have never ulted him, even when I've had 20 plus counters. I don't ever want to, I just want people to draw. Onto the lands, I'm trying to breeze through these. We have the Blood Crypt, the Bloodstained Mire, City of Brass, Command Tower, Dragon Skull Summit, Drowned Catacomb, Exotic Orchard, Forbidden Orchard. This is where a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards come in. I'll tap this and give somebody a Yu-Gi-Oh card as their 1/1 spirit token. 3 islands, Mana Confluence, Maze of Ith, 3 mountains, Polluted Delta, Reflecting Pool, Reliquary Tower, Shivan Reef, Smoldering Marsh, Spire of Industry, Steam Vents, Strip Mine, Sulphur Falls, Sulphurous Springs, Sunken Hollow. These ones I'm kind of iffy on because I only run 9 basics, so you can do that at 3 swamps, but we'll see. This is the only Scryland I run. It should be a Scalding Tarn. I just don't own a second one. I have one in Kalia, so I may just proxy it since I own one. Temple of the False God, Underground River, Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, and of course a Watery Grave. And that is Chaos Nekusar. Hope you enjoyed that deck profile. Feel free to leave a comment, any suggestions, and well, why not join the Hive Mind?